name is Joseph Carlson, and this is episode 203 of Gaming with Grief. I'm calling this episode How to Say Goodbye Deep Dive. But I want to remind you guys before I start that this podcast will hit my website, www.gamingwithgrief.com, Monday morning at 7 a.m. So please go there, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the show. If you have any suggestions, you can leave it there. You can also subscribe to the podcast in either Apple iTunes, the Google Play Store, Spotify, and I'm on Apple Music right now. And the video goes up the day after. So like Monday afternoon, the video will go up on Spotify, so you can listen to the audio or watch the video if you want to do that there. And the video of the podcast goes up day and date on YouTube, so Monday at 7 a.m. So I think that's it. Oh, you can write to me at gwgpodfellows@gmail.com. So right there if you have a suggestion or anything like that. I'm also on Twitter at JustLittleJoe. So go to those places and, interact with me there. Give me the likes, the stars, all that kind of stuff when you subscribe to the podcast, or if you do, or, just give me the ratings on YouTube and stuff like that. That would be great. But yeah, so this episode, basically what I'm doing is just kind of going into a deep dive of the things that I saw, or at least I think I see in How to Say Goodbye. But here's the deal. How to Say Goodbye is very abstract, and what I played at the game so far, I think I'm about halfway through the game. It seems that some of the themes and things that are coming up in the game seem to be, again, something very abstract and not altogether clear on, where they're going. I did read the official website. They said they were going for, the game was kind of, It was inspired by a lot of illustrated books. And so that's kind of the style. I think I mentioned that in my initial impressions. That seems to be going through each, level or chapter. Involves several puzzles where you're trying to get out of environment. And I think what's interesting about this is it seems to be more abstract than something like Last Day of June or I'm trying to think of another game that I played. Anyway, but that doesn't mean I don't think it has anything to say, because it seems to imply heavily that this is kind of a dream or some kind of fantasy sequence or something that you're trying to get out. You're also trying to travel with different people that you see. I forget that there's a character you see early on. I'll go into the spoilers, but there's a character you see early on, like you in a similar situation. You try to get them out of this environment you're in. It could be purgatory. You could be going to the other side or traveling through. Who really knows? But what I did do is I did some research and found some articles with Psychology Today that I think, strangely enough, was on their homepage and kind of have to do with some of the things that I'm seeing in the game. So I'm going to read those very quickly, but let me just say that, again, this game is a little bit more abstract, but again, that doesn't mean the game doesn't have anything to say or, can maybe say anything, won't say anything extraordinary about grief. But I'm going to look up at the side for a second. So, this article is written by Stephen Taylor. He's got a PhD. It was on Psychology Today. It was posted on March 19th, 2023, so very new. And it was reviewed by Abigail Fagan. A lot of this, he wrote like kind of a metaphysical journey through death, which, again, totally fine. I'm not really religious. Some of these are pretty extraordinary, but he did find some studies to kind of back up how he feels. And I think what happens is the strangeness of this kind of deals with kind of the strangeness I'm seeing in the game. And so I'm just going to read kind of like, people, you read the stories all the time of people having incredibly strange stories of when people pass away or die. And this kind of brings that up a lot, but it also brings in data from people that have actually done studies. There's a term they use called terminal lucidity. And I'm just going to read this section of the article. It says, terminal lucidity. In the days or hours preceding death, it's not uncommon for dying people who are cognitively impaired, perhaps due to dementia, a stroke, or meningitis, to suddenly become alert and aware. People who are immobile and unresponsive may become agile and alert. People who have dementia may regain their memory and other mental facilities. Surprisingly, their relatives by recognizing them, remembering details, and speaking coherently. Terminal lucidity has been recognized and studied since the early 19th century, although as yet there is no explanation. This also happened to my mother, which he wrote about in his book. Although I don't have the space to describe the incident here. Encountering deceased relatives, dying people often report seeing deceased relatives and friends, almost as if the latter are gathering to meet them as they die. When the near-death experience, researcher Penny Satori was working as an intensive care nurse, she learned that One of the many signs of imminent death was for patients to start speaking or gesturing to unseen people. As she wrote, this was commonly accepted by many nurses that I work with. According to research of a neuroscientist, Peter Fenwick, around 90% of those who die consciously have this type of experience, which often includes perception of light, feelings of peace. In an example collected by Fenwick, a woman described an experience she had while caring for her dying father. The gauze over his face moves. I ran to him. Adriana, my dear, your mother, who had died 3 years before, is helping me to break out of this disgusting body. There is so much hope for us. Near-death experiences. When people are resuscitated after life-threatening medical emergencies, they often report remarkable experiences. Despite showing no signs of psychological or neurological activity, they may describe leaving their bodies and witnessing their own medical procedures or their events. They often report journeying through darkness, a bright light with feelings of intense well-being. They sometimes report encountering deceased relatives or beings of light. In a 2001 study by the Dutch cardiologist Pim van Lommel, that's his name, 64 out of the 344 cardiac patients reported near-death experiences. More generally, the near-death experience research, Brian Grayson has suggested that between 10 to 20% of patients who are close to death have near-death experiences. And here's the deal. Nobody knows what happens. Again, there's no neurological symptoms. There's no activity or anything like that, but these just happen to people that are on the brink of death. I've also seen many threads on, TikTok and Instagram about nurses talking about what happens. People become more alert and awake, which is what she talked about here. They talk about feeling euphoric, becoming clear. That really didn't happen in the case of my relatives, but I have heard of it happening before. And what I think about How to Say Goodbye is kind of like, it's predominantly a puzzle game, which again doesn't mean it doesn't have anything profound or unique to say about grief. But what I think it does is it's kind of pulling on that the abstract part of death. And, will this person get out of it? Will it be alive? Again, there's a content warning in the game. So you think to yourself, this has to be going somewhere. Now this part, oh, by the way, sorry, I just want to mention this. Stephen Taylor's book is called Extraordinary Awakenings. He said, I describe cases of profound personal transformation amongst cancer patients, the survivors of terrorist attacks, the survivors of suicide attempts, and others. The transformation is often so powerful that people report feeling as if they have a new identity and they're living in a different body. So I think this is pretty amazing. I'm trying to find part 2 here. I had a link to, sorry, I'm clicking on something because I thought I had all this up, but apparently, there isn't, oh, here we go. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Anyway, what I think's amazing is that even in death, you can still have a profound experience. And even though it can be abstract to us, it may mean, obviously we'll never know, but it could mean something so profound to the people that are affected by this. And it seems like How to Say Goodbye is on the kind of, again, it's more of the abstract part of what is going on. And not only are their puzzles very challenging when I'm finding the farther I'm going into the game, but I do hope that they talk more and more about, what is going on. I hope that these things that the game is kind of brushing with, that it doesn't just come to like a weird abstract end. And I hope that, like I said before, I hope I don't ugly cry at like 8 or 9 in the morning. But I'm hoping that, there's something to say there and I can talk about it in the spoiler cast. Again, this game is really abstract, so it's really deep to pull on themes and things when this is abstract. But hopefully by the end, it'll paint a complete picture and I'll be able to come to you with the spoiler cast and tell you about what I thought about the game and stuff like that. So again, I've said it many times, this may be a shorter episode this week, but playing this game and things like that, it's getting more and more abstract. So it was a little bit difficult to try to bring this together, but I still wanted to do a deep dive episode. I'm very happy that Psychology, I'm pointing over here because my monitor's over here. I'm very happy that Psychology Today had articles that I could read on it, and it's pretty amazing that it was on the homepage of their thing, even though I only really read Psychology Today for, when I research the pod and stuff like that. So, I think, although short but sweet, I think that that'll be it this week, guys, but I want to remind everybody that this podcast will hit my website, www.gamewithgrief.com, Monday morning at 7 a.m. Please go there and let me know what you think of the show. You can also subscribe to the podcast through Apple iTunes, the Google Play Store, Spotify, and Amazon Music. So go there. The video for the podcast goes up on Spotify the evening it posts, so Monday evening. But you can watch the podcast and watch the video version of this on Monday morning at 7 a.m. on YouTube. Give me likes, comments, subscribe. Again, all that kind of stuff. You can write to me at gwgpodfellows@gmail.com if you want to, give me a suggestion on a game you want me to play, or maybe you have a comment about the podcast or something like that. The comments are up on YouTube as well, so you can comment there. I think that's it. I think that's all. Again, short but sweet, and I will hopefully have a better episode with the deep dive when I can kind of look at the game and the totality of it, and hopefully, but not hopefully, cry. So have a good week, and I will talk to you guys again later.